Shifters, hello. Sorry, excuse my fro. We are gonna talk about how is everyone. Sorry about this. I am actually doing part two of The Office. I actually pulled out a lot of pictures and cards from my bedroom, part one, and so I'm moving things in its right place, and I'm just trying to go through. Yes, I'm organizing my greeting cards, and I know. So that goes into me purging and minimalist. Let's move on, mind shifters. So good to see you guys. I am coming to you about, we're going to do a little overview of fasting, and I'm going to get into intermittent fasting, and I may leave like a little chart or something. Definitely some links to Dr. Eric Berg's videos. I think they're so helpful. You all know how much I look at towards, he's like the headmaster of Keto Hogwarts, I always say. But I want to show you guys, I have several books. Like, I love researching. This is what started it all for me. And I want to say his name is Fung. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. Reading this book, The Obesity Code, I'm going to probably reread it because I read it probably like twice, but really to kind of go in as to do notes. This book is kind of what started it for me. And it's why your body's own insulin is the key to controlling your weight, the obesity code, unlocking the secrets of weight loss. And as I told you guys before, I had spiraled out of control. I didn't know what was going on. And I sort of was doing the same formula that I've done for many years, and it just wasn't working. And I know that, the aging process, I'm getting older, this, that, and the third, but I had other symptoms other than weight. Weight to me was like an indicator that something was wrong, but I had a lot of other things. I told you I wasn't as sharp as I normally am, like mentally, forgetful, very, very lethargic, like to the point where I couldn't get out of bed. Um, of course, the weight, like I said before, but there were just so many other symptoms that I was dealing with. And then the final one for me that kind of caused me to stop in my tracks was my face. It's almost like my face, just like everything manifested on my face. So anyway, so let's move on. So a little bit of an overview of fasting, and I'm going to read from this book, and I'm going to put the link to this book and a picture of it or whatever, because I really encourage you guys to do your own research. And I know there's some people out there, they don't really care about why, they just want the formula. I always say, I mean, whatever you can get from me or any others, that's cool. But maybe a lot of people that watch me were kind of the same. We want to kind of know why of things, and we want it to be simple, but we want to kind of dig in a little deeper. This is my fasting Bible. It's the guide, the complete guide to fasting. Heal your body through intermittent, alternate day, and extended fasting. And again, this by the same author of the Obesity Code. That's how I discovered this, Jason Fung. And it says with a forward from Jimmy Moore. So I'm going to read from some of this, guys. I'm not trying to bore you guys, but let's just jump into it. What is fasting? So this doctor, his specialty is, I want to say diabetes, but I want to say type 2 diabetes. I think diabetes in general, but type 2 diabetes, which is the one that I think is focused on your nutrition and your sort of your lifestyle, where you can reverse it. I want to say type 1 people are born with that, so don't quote me on that. So let's just jump into it. Mentioning fasting as a treatment for obesity and type 2 diabetes always gets the same eye-rolling response: starvation. That's the answer. You're going to starve people. No, that is not at all. I'm not going to starve people. I'm asking them to fast. Fasting is completely different from starvation in one crucial way: control. Starvation is the involuntary abstention from eating. It is neither deliberate nor controlled. Starving people have no idea when and where their next meal will come from. This happens in times of war and famine, when food is scarce. Fasting, on the other hand, is the voluntary abstention from eating for spiritual, health, or other reasons. Food is readily available, but you choose not to eat it. No matter what your reason for abstaining, the fact that fasting is voluntary is a critical distinction. I just love the forward. I love what some of the myths are that we're used to hearing. And I don't know if this is gonna, and I'm not here to debate anyone. I just want to, us to be informed. Um, you must always eat breakfast. That's something that we've heard growing up. You must snack constantly all day long. You should eat a bedtime snack. You must never ever miss a meal. And he says in here, there is no correlation whatsoever between constant eating and good health. So I just, I wanted to read a little bit of that. And that's just in general of like kind of, he gives like a history of fasting in general. And I know most of us, I'm a Christian, and a lot of us, we're familiar with like, I don't know, I'm starting to learn, and I'm thinking actually I may do a spiritual fast because I'm just so curious, and where it's not essentially you're trying to just detox your body, but essentially the point of a spiritual fast is to detox spiritually and to center yourself. And I know Muslims have a period of fasting. I believe it's called Ramadan. I'm not trying to, if I misspoke. So a lot of religions, I think Greek Orthodox, they have a period of fasting. I know Christians, like I said, the Protestant, there's periods of fasting in the Bible for either spiritual centeredness or wanting to show a sacrifice to God and trying to gain answers and clarity and comfort in certain, if maybe there's an obstacle, challenges in your life. So he goes, you have to get this book. I mean, you don't have to. I'm pretty sure there's a something online, but he just is amazing. This is and it seems like it should be simple, but let's go into the overall effects of fasting. It lowers glucose, lower blood pressure, and lowers risk of cancer. It naturally increases growth hormone. Fasting has potential to unleash the anti-aging properties of growth hormone without any of the problems of taking artificial growth hormone, which is really good, especially when working out. So let's talk about intermittent fasting. That's what you hear a lot combined with keto. Intermittent fasting can be successfully implemented with either short fast, less than 24 hours, or longer fast, more than 24 hours. Extended fasting, more than 3 days, can also be safely used for weight loss and other health benefits. So I'm going to talk about like what I do for intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, I essentially, it's kind of changed actually. I was going to say I kind of switch it up. I would say mostly I do I guess they call 16-8. So I fast for 16 hours, which includes my bedtime. And then I have a 8-hour window where I consume food. So my job there told you guys, so essentially let's just simplify for you. I would eat lunch and dinner. So my job had a mice infestation last year. And I'm sorry for being super loud, but it's creepy. My job had a mice infestation last year. So I'm like, have a phobia of mice. I had to like see a counselor at my work just to kind of get myself together so I could actually go to work. And I couldn't eat anything. So I ended up pushing my meal to technically my lunch or my first meal to when I got home. And I tend to work a later schedule. So my work hours are like 9 to 5 or 10 to 6, or sometimes later if I have to stay over, depending if they're patching or things that are stuff like that we have to do. I'm gonna have to stay later. So my first meal technically is when I get home from work. Throughout the day, I am drinking. I start my day off with my swamp drink. I've added another ingredient, guys, so I'm gonna update you guys on that, and it's just been amazing. So I normally do green tea or some type of tea in the morning. I add the apple cider vinegar, ginger, green, matcha powder, and ACV, and that's normally and cinnamon. That's my morning drink. And I know I was working out in the morning until the last few months where I've encountered some stuff. So I'll just work out whenever I can. So essentially I get ready for work. And I have like a 32-ounce water canteen. And I drink 1 to 2 of those during the day. So essentially I definitely drink one of those during the day. And when I get home, It depends on what our schedule, like my son, he was working this summer. Our schedule was off and he started driving. So we got thrown off. But normally our schedule would be when I get home, I would, we would go work out. So I would work out fasted, especially to work. Cause again, I used to work out in the morning, but then I was like, I would work out fasted. And then I would come home and cook dinner and we would eat dinner together. And my dinner looked a little different than my son's dinner because he's eating throughout the day. Or he's eating, I guess, the traditional breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So my meal looked a little different. Sometimes I would start off with a really large salad. It was almost like we would still talk and converse, but then he'd go on because my dinner time almost lasted a little. You don't have to do it this way, but it was almost it lasted over like an hour period. Like I would have a really large salad, and then I would let that rest, and then I would maybe have like a protein, and some more vegetables, or I would incorporate meals where it had lots of veggies, protein, and very little carbs. So there's some meals like you all have seen. I may make rutabaga, and some people on the keto, this may be more for low carb. Maybe they would say that's not keto. I don't know, but I would do low carb root vegetables. Again, I'm not going to get in an argument and back and forth with anybody about that. If I was doing, but most often it was protein, a moderate protein, and lots of veggies. Okay, but let's go into. And that's what I did. Now, essentially, I started to get to one meal a day. And I've been doing research about some prophets in the Bible. And Prophet Daniel was the OG or was it Ezekiel? I think Prophet Daniel is known for, if you hear the Daniel's fast. So essentially, when they got captive, they got enslaved by the Babylonians, they actually wanted to stick to their Jewish nutrition. And he made a deal with the king. He was like, well, I'll let you do it. I just kind of want to see how it works out. And they were healthy. They were, vibrant. And I think that's where people get more like that, pescatarian, fruits and vegetables, water. That's kind of if you hear Daniel's fast. I'm not trying to oversimplify it. Prophet Ezekiel is like the OG for the OMA diet. He was so burdened, and I want to make sure it's the right one. I'll research this just before I put it on. But he was so burdened about his mission that he literally, for a year, he ate one meal a day. Again, or over a year, or around that time. So we see, even from biblical times, whether you believe in the Bible or not, if you just think it's allegory or story time, we see from ancient times, from 2,000 plus years ago, that fasting was something that was done. And I think even all the other civilizations, they talk about fasting. And I think they normally refer to it as like detoxification and cleansing. So even then they knew that there's benefits to letting your body rest. So let's talk about what is intermittent fasting and just some of your options. There are 12-hour fasts. You would eat 3 meals a day from, let's say, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So when I'm talking to, when I'm talking to different people, I've done a lot of like consultations. And when I'm talking to people, I try to get them on some sort of rhythm like that. Some sort of regimen where it's like 7 to 7, 8 to 8 or something like that. So that means you would break your fast with a small breakfast. And then you would kind of, I think lunch would most likely be your largest meal, and then dinner. That's like what I start people off, because that's like traditionally what we eat. Now, see, this is what we have done, and it's all kind of part of like food industry, and I'm not a conspiracy, but it's all, everything's profitability. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think everything is about the dollar bill, y'all. And so that 12-hour fast is what we would consider traditional, like as far as breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like I said, growing up, we definitely had 2 good meals, but most households had 3 traditional meals. And I think it was in the 70s where it changed. Women kind of were more in the workforce, and then you went from 3 meals to now the introduction of snacks. So you get where I'm going. And my son is doing like AP psychology, so we're like doing all these like drills and learning about psychologists. He has to do these writing samples to explain, what he garnered from some of the readings. And I think Ivan Pavlov, he's known for the experiments with salivation, with the salivation, to salivate with the dogs. And that's something I see too. Sometimes we've gotten conditioned to certain things and we think that we should be eating, but we've never really said, are we really hungry? And that's a whole nother topic. Anyway, so this is the one that they talk about. They talk about the 12-hour fast, which most people, it's the kind of what we do, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think we all do a little bit more though. But anyway, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then what I do, and maybe I do more now, the 20-hour fast, but then they describe the 16-hour fast. And then this regimen incorporates a 16-hour period of fasting into your daily meal schedule. For example, you might fast from 7 p.m. to 11 a.m. daily. And that sort of was what I was doing until the whole mic situation. And I'm okay working, but the thought of eating still at that job I can't do it, guys. And I'm not there yet. So you could also say that you have an 8-hour eating window every day. This is sometimes referred to as time restricted eating. And I think it's a little different because I'm doing an 80-day obsession. And they talk about time nutrition, which I find is very important too. On this schedule, most people skip the morning meal every day, but how many meals you eat within that 8-hour window is your choice. Some people choose to eat 2 meals during that window and others eat 3. Okay. So this is kind of, if anyone's familiar with the warrior diet, that's the 20-hour fast. And it says in his book, The Warrior Diet, Uri Hofmeckler stresses that the timing of meals matters almost as much as the composition. As I discussed earlier, both when we eat and what we eat questions are important, but when is seriously underappreciated. So that's what I do. I do a 20-hour, I guess I do 20-hour fast. So for me, that has kicked my game up so much. And it's not, I think even though I do have weight loss goals, I'm not so much worried now that I'm more learned. I'm not so much like concerned with that. I'm concerned with those tangibles, which are more important to me, my energy level. During times of great stress, which you'll find like life is cyclical. So like I've told everyone, the last few months has been very stressful. Very, very, very stressful. And I know God has protected me and my family and friends from the unseen and unforeseen. So I am so grateful for that. But the things that I can see, it just, life has just been stressful. And when I get stressed out, it manifests on my face and it manifests in my belly area. I don't know if that happens to anyone else. But sticking to my intermittent fasting, I guess time restricted eating, and trying to definitely as close as I can stick to the keto formula or low carb. I think I'm sold on the keto. That healthy fat, it just satiates you, is what has definitely been like a lifesaver to me. I haven't had any issues sleeping. I remember when I used to be stressed out, I couldn't get to sleep because I stay up worrying about everything. And it's also a combination of also my spiritual awakening. Like, it's no point. God never sleeps. Why am I saying that type of thing? I think I'm just at a different point spiritually too. Like, let me just give it to him. I should have gave it to him. Sometimes I think God is watching us. He's watching us do this. He's watching us do this. He's watching us do all this stuff. And he's like, I'm just going to wait till I'm right here. I'm going to wait till they get it. Know that they can't do it. And so I just think I have come to a point in my life where, okay, I am not qualified. Anytime I try to put my hands on things, it doesn't work. So anyways, he talks about all these things. This book is amazing. He talks about extended fast, which you all are going to see me do. Like I said, I may attempt another extended fast, or I only did 3-day water fast, but I may attempt another extended fast before the holidays. But I definitely want to do a spiritual fast. So that may be on my other channel. But I definitely want to do an extended fast that lasts longer than 42 hours. And I told you guys, what I realized is that I should have properly prepared for that fast. I should have had some bone broth and something like that. And I don't think I should have been doing those extreme workouts. I should have been doing the stretch and release. She has like some stretching videos. I should have been doing those. Okay. And I think he has an actual like center where he really tries to help people that are not just overweight, but obese or type 2, help them reverse their type 2 diabetes. And one of his prescriptions is fasting and some other things. What I realized too, similar to which I can't do anymore, but when I had cable, I used to watch the Hoarders or whatever, and it's more the issue or people overeating and overindulging. It's probably now that it's in every area of our life, and I didn't think that I had any, that I was gluttonous really, but now I'm going through the purging series, and for me, I realized that I have been I have the same issue that a lot of Americans have. I had too much. So you don't really think, it's like almost like it's a part of our culture, but we've kind of been conditioned to want more and to do more and to be more. Okay, so some fasting tips. I know this video is long. I'm sorry, guys. Fasting tips, but let's get going with it. Always keep your goal in mind. Readjust your strategy based on your results. I think that's my crumb snatcher downstairs coming home from work. Hold on.